what I've learned is like there weren't a lot of tools out there that I trusted. And so because I was very re-traumatized. And
Mhm.
so I had to learn to unlock the tools within myself.
Beautiful. Yeah.
And that is a very, like, you have to become devoted to that. And there's no other way. You can't follow that path without devotion. And I do believe very strongly that there are many paths out there that
Yeah.
there has to be devotion. It cannot be any other
Yeah.
way.
And that's what creates this path for somebody. Like
Yeah.
like you just you just feel passionate. You want to do it and repeat it. And I,
For
I also think we unlock those things. Like that's the medicine, unlocking those things within yourself.
yeah, and for me it wasn't this like curiosity. It was survival.
For
It
me
was
too.
it
Yeah.
was you got to do this or else you're going to go crazy. You got to
Hmm.
do this or else you're not going to be able to function in this world.
Yeah.
It was very cut and dry for me.
Yeah.
I resisted it.
Yeah.
And so I think it's offering this natural rawness that comes through our humanity
Hmm.
that lets people know it's freaking okay to be human and you don't
Yeah.
have to resist it if you're on a spiritual path.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's-
Yeah, I feel the same way, and it's so funny because I remember your story when I heard you when I listened to your story the first time in the course. I related a lot in my own way, my own unique way, but it's funny because when I express myself, it's always like, the curiosity, and it is. I've gone through it like a little magical child, but at the same time, I am a wounded child. I'm a wounded child, a magical child. So it's like I had to do it as well because of like survival. Like if I didn't, I nobody around me was going through the same pain. Being aware of things also brings pain within from your own self and from other people and from so many things. And yeah, I do value that hardship or like that time because it has taught me a lot and it has created self tools, like tools that now I'm like, this is a tool, this is a
Yep.
tool.
Yep.
But for
Yep.
me, because I have that curious, childish way of seeing things, I'm almost like, really? This is a tool? I'm not serious about it.
Well,
But at the
God,
same time, it comes up and I'm like, this is so amazing. But this is my expression of it. Even though it came through pain and it was painful, I'm like, it was amazing.
you crack me up. So I'm there too now.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
like
yeah.
yeah, but like when I was going through it, it was not about curiosity for me because I had to what I was shown is I had to move from just navigating the world to actually like being able to explore the world.
Yeah.
And when I was able to move from just navigating to exploring, that's when curiosity and wonderment and this vibrancy of what I was experiencing moving forward came through. But it did take experiencing the contrast of that.
Yeah.
And it's not to say that I don't experience the roughness of this path ever again.
Yeah.
Like I do, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me too.
And it's because we're here to do it differently. We're here to be it differently.
Mm-hmm.
We're here to bring whatever you want. I call it codes. it can be called, different things, ideas, momentum, empowerment. We're here to bring it differently. We're here to be it differently.
Be it
And
differently. Yeah,
that takes courage.
it does.
That takes courage and it takes resiliency.
Yeah, a different level of resilience.
And
Not like come beat me up resilience, but a resilience like I can
yes,
handle it. I can handle it. I can move through this. I can move through this and make it better.
it's like, it's, I love how you say it's not that come beat me up because you're right.
Yeah.
It's that felt sense that you're taken care of, that you can separate the circumstance from the experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't take it so personally during the
And
process.
not take it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like, I've been, I've been working with the four agreements
I
forever.
l- that was my activation. One of them. One of them.
Oh,
One of them. And it was weird because Jihan was the one that brought it. And I was like, oh, somebody read me the book. They gave me the four agreements when I was younger. And I was like, oh, that makes sense. I love it. When I was super young. And then I saw the book and I was already telling Jihan, I'm feeling this. Like the world's different. And I was telling her a bunch of things. And then all of a sudden she shows me the book and I'm like, let me read it. I read it. It was exactly what I was telling her. And I was like, and
yep.
then and then life became magical after that.
And they're so
I love that
good.
book.
Like,
Yeah.
don't make assumption. Don't take things personally. Like, it's so down to earth.
Yeah.
It's so simple that the mind can't even comprehend it. That's why it has to be practiced to create a habit. Because
Mm.
we as human beings, we're habitual. Our subconscious
Hmm.
is habitual. So
Yeah.
we have to simplify things so that we can do them over and 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 over.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
how you, that's a way of being, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I see the four agreements like the laws of the universe explained in really practical language,
Ooh,
which
I
I think it's
love
beautiful.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that. Okay, so one of my downloads today was modern day magic. Modern day magic. Let me reference it. It was, let's see, modern day magic. The internal codes. So like, it's not just like, oh, it's a code of joy, it's a code of this, it's a frequency, it's an emotion, it's this, it's that. These are literally inner access points, inner
Hmm.
reference points
Hmm.
that once they are unlocked, activated, whatever, initiated, whatever you want to call it, you're you're actually able to open up to a new experience
Yeah.
with this tangibility,
Mm. Okay.
because I think we have this idea that magic is, fairy tales and
Yeah.
yes.
It's interesting. It's interesting what you're saying. It's like I'm almost thinking that I've been thinking about this recently as well. Because I think I did a video. I think no, I did a video with Veronica and I talked about magic. I
Mm,
completely cut it because I was like, I was like, oh my God, this is no bueno. But I also think that magic is when I got aura transformed, my magic became so grounded that it became more real. And it was such an interesting thing because I love magic. Like I said, magical child. When these things became on for me, I was like talking to animals. I was like, everything was talking to me. I was like, I was enjoying it. But then now it's like I still communicate with my animals, but it's like more mature. It's like, okay, stop. All right, it's enough. It's like more mature. And like I don't know, it just became more amazing because I'm in oneness with everything, but I'm not like spaghetti oneness, kind of like what Sarah
Yeah.
says, spaghetti kind of thing. It's not like no boundaries. You're like, it's more grounded. I'm here in my own body, but I'm like connected to you and to everything. And I'm like, hey, 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 it's amazing. I love it. And I've become more, for me, also magic is also the empowerment of the awareness of energy, which is one of the things that I want to really bring out in the talk is bringing more understanding of why is this so beautiful? Because the more we have awareness of energy, especially for the indigo crowd, the more life becomes easier, but also more empowered. We become more empowered because it's like, especially in how much energy we leak. Like energy leaks like having so many energy leaks. This is one of the reasons why I'm doing videos because all of a sudden I collected so many energy leaks that I had out there for people that it empowered me all of a sudden. And all of a sudden I'm like, I trust myself. What the heck? Just because those energy leaks were kind of like I was giving so much attention for somebody else to give me validation that I was not giving myself my validation. As soon as I reclaimed myself, it's almost like the thing just switched to me. So I feel that the magic for me is really that energy awareness that everything is energy. And where we put focus, we're really like creating that. And if repetitively we're really thinking and putting energy on that, we're creating it. And now I'm in oneness with that. And always growing from it because I'm not like master, but um like
It's
when I'm working, I'm sensing energy. I'm like, ooh, ooh. And I like it. It's like energy management and like how much energy do I give on this kind of mentality or view or this? And so every day for me, I'm just learning and growing on my own.
I love
So
it.
that's what's magic for me. Like that's where magic turned out for me. It's not about like cards. I do use tools sometimes, but it's not about like something outside of me. It's more me being in oneness with everything. I'm kind of like taking action based on that. And taking
Yeah.
action is more grounded. That's the other thing.
Yeah, it's how you it's just for me it's how I interface with my
Okay.
external world. And like I wrote this and it it's about mastering the unseen forces within you to create an extraordinary reality. So that's what magic is for me.
Yeah.
And and I'm literally still letting this integrate because again, this was a download. So when downloads come through, it's not like I'm already embodying it. I actually do have to integrate it.
That's beautiful that you have that awareness.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because
Yeah.
I would I would try to, my mind would be like, we have to live this way right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Mm.
I'm like, okay, how do I do that? How do I do it? How do I do it? Because
Yeah.
I'm not integrating and embodying the downloads.
Mm.
I was they were being seeded, but I was receiving them and I thought I had to do something with them.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I've done all the mistakes on that. Like I go on it. I'm like, yeah, let's go. And then I'm just crushing.
Yes. Yes, right? like it's not sustainable. Um and that's like that was a huge part of my journey is
Mm,
how do I sustain crystalline your journey? Because crystalline your journey is my business. And but it was a download of literally grounding my frequency of what I'm here to be on this earth in
yeah.
this human form.
Yeah.
Like, I had no idea what to do with that or how to ground it or how to, you know, build boundaries or, all that stuff. And it it was very challenging for me to trust anyone to teach me that. So I had to learn it from within, and I believe this is what embodiment is.
Mm,
It's
yeah.
you know, it's not being taught something.
Yeah.
It's the
Mm,
experience that you vibrate outwardly.
yeah. And it's something that is beautiful to share, to be shared and to be heard, like to be reminded, because I feel, and this is the beauty of all these things that, these tools, they are within us. So when you said earlier that you unlocked tools on within your own self, I felt the same thing, although I gave up because I was doing all the wrong things because probably because I wasn't integrating. I was like going for a really rough. Then I met Sarah. I learned some tools with her, but I've integrated a lot of her tools on my own way. I don't tell her how to do it because it's my own way. It's unique, but it's based on what she like, and I'm just learning indirectly from, I've learned a lot from her. Um, and I learned from all around me. Like I'm just like a sponge. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I'm gonna try that, but I try my own way. I see it from my own angle. So it's impossible for me actually to really know how they do it, but it's almost like, oh, that's how I felt it. And then I just repeat, and I'm very curious, and I'm just repeating and repeating and trying. I'm like, this works, this doesn't. But it's like I feel like we just become activated. So what I felt from Sarah, because I trusted her, I'm like, my spirit chose her to activate me. So what I felt was that she activated me, and there's many people that have been activating me around me. Even a stranger in the street can activate us. So I like just activating that inner knowing, those codes, those inner codes, that inner wisdom, and then the integration is just probably the whole repetition, which I learned with time. And I'm still learning how to be
Yeah.
patient and integrate because I do sense this vision and this knowing, and I go for it. Now I think I'm probably a lot better right now. We'll see. I will have to see. It's a
Yeah,
work in progress for sure.
it always is, right? And like, what I think is interesting and what I feel I am here for, is for those that are coming online that are in that space of the path that I have walked. So what I mean by that is, I shared that the reason I had to cultivate this devotion is for survival. I I didn't want to go crazy. I didn't like I had to learn how to function in this world at the level of awareness, at the consciousness that was being downloaded in me, that was being unlocked within me. And
Mm-hmm.
within increasing that devotion, I was unlocking more higher consciousness. And so it was like inevitably it was moving me more towards a, you know, going crazy or not being able to function in this world if I was not able to cultivate that devotion. So it almost becomes not a choice. It almost becomes an absolute.
Mm.
And that's who I'm here for. I'm here for those that are healers and that truly they did not ask for this.
Mm.
It's
Mhm.
just that they came online
Yeah,
and they don't know what to do with it. They don't know how
exactly.
to be with it.
Yeah.
I know that. I know that so much to my core.
Mm-hmm.
And it's taken me a long time to be able to ground that. Long
Yeah.
time to be able to ground it. And there's so much more that that can come through if I get out of the way and don't just operate from my limited perspective.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like so that's all I'm ever trying to do. That's all I'm ever working towards is getting out of my own way. That's the only effort I put into life.
Mm.
That is the only effort I put into life
Yeah.
is getting out of my own way.
Hmm.
You know,
Do you have like something you do to get out of your own way? Is there like a sense that you sense like, oh, I'm getting in my own way?
so there is not a structured way of doing it. It's very nonlinear.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so it's mastering that that inner landscape.
Mm-hmm.
But what I will say is I drop into my body. And so and what I mean by that is I literally allow myself to dissolve into whatever feeling it is that is creating the resistance, that's creating the dysregulation, that's creating the upheaval within me.
Yeah.
That is presencing my shadow. That is, triggering my limiting beliefs.
Mm.
I drop into my body and I let myself be present with the energy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And when I can become whole with that, it's like everything is pauses. It's like the entire world. It's like it's like everything stands still.
Yeah.
That's what presence is for me. It's like in movies, how it's just like everything freezes and
Mm-hmm.
the person can like they're like in the reality, but everything else is just standing still.
Mm-hmm.
That's how
Kind of
I would
slow motion?
not even slow motion.
No, no, not even slow motion. Okay, that's
Sometimes maybe it can be, but for the
okay.
most part,
Still.
it, it's the stillness. Literally,
Hmm.
that's where I emerge from is that stillness. And that's what I would call that's what I would call integration.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, getting out of your own way, like letting go that mind, like dropping in the body and reminding. Well, for me, I do something similar. It is difficult. Like I can say that I can get out of my own way, and I guess when there's a big challenge, it's probably when it takes me longer, even if I do all the tools. But I know I'm like being initiated, or not even initiated. I don't want to use that word because like I don't really use that word. But it's like I do know that I'm being like I'm about to shed something huge. That's usually how I would see it. I'm like I'm about to like drop something that it's huge for me, which is gonna upgrade me. So maybe it's an initiation, but it's something big and it's usually tough. And I honestly, different copings come, but I do notice a coping, I release them. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna soar, I'm gonna drop in my body and walk, go to nature and all this, but sometimes it's not that easy. And
Well, and I will say, like, I use my mind's eye a lot, and so I allow myself to, have images come through, or because it creates a tangibility that I can connect with to
okay.
to allow me to actually like presence myself with the energy, but not actually identify with the energy.
I like the part of not identifying with the energy. And yeah, I do think that that's powerful. Once like that inner truth comes in and reminds, I've had moments of that, like where I kind of remind myself like, hey, this is happening, this, and I become more like, let's sit with it and not identifying with it and taking responsibility. I think that that's the most powerful thing that I do take in when those things happen is that I take responsibility in really owning that it's not like somebody, I don't try to put it out there, but just like gathering it. It's still a work in progress though, for me. Yeah. I
Well,
don't have like I can't think of a structure because it's every time is different for me. It's completely different, but there's definitely what you're saying, like always taking ownership. Like I'm always that's what I think. I'm just always being responsible because I'm like explosive bomb, if not. And I have to be ethical. That's why I love Aura Transformation. I needed Aura Transformation because I was like explosive and not like anger, not with people, but like energetically, like whipping. And it was like, no. So just really, that's horrible. And so just really
yeah.
myself and taking ownership of understanding that it's all mind stuff and like I don't want to, yeah. So taking a lot of ownership of my own stuff and responsibility. But I definitely don't have a system. Not yet. Maybe I do, and I'm not thinking of any one.
Well, it's hard to reverse engineer, and it's hard to take something. It's like teaching somebody, saying, "Hey, can you teach me how to play guitar even though you've been playing it for 20 years and you know
True.
exactly what you're
True.
doing?" Like,
Yeah.
can you teach me? Can you break it down? And can
Yeah.
you teach me how
Yeah.
you do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it takes unlocking this
The
this
teacher.
the teacher in you,
Yeah.
the creator in you, and
Yeah.
it's not an easy thing to do, but like one of the things that did come through is when I take that pause, like I always close down my eyes or I soften my gaze because I want to see my inner world.
Hmm.
And so it allows me to connect with that. And again, I've learned to not identify with it because I have a very limited perspective. Even though I might be, advanced in my consciousness and my spiritual maturity, I still have a very limited perspective because
Hmm.
I am one soul. I am, I am a particle of the whole, and
Yeah.
my limited perspective
I like
is
that.
part of
Now,
the whole.
now I'm understanding what you mean.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. Okay.
Yeah. And so I have to separate myself, but I have to own that I have a limited perspective. I have to
Mm.
own that.
Mm. Yeah.
I don't have to act on
Mm. It's a good perspective. I like it.
it. Yeah, so it's yeah, when if people ask me like, "Oh, how do you do it?" Oh, that is not how embodiment works. I'm not here like it's not you have a way of doing it. You have a way of being with it.
Mm-hmm.
You have a process. You have a capacity of a felt sense. Like you have your own mind's eye that the energy is moving through.
Mm,
Like everybody is unique yet connected.
mm,
And
yeah,
when you talk about ethics, that's huge. Energetic ethics is huge. It's part of like the core of what I teach and what I facilitate. And because we are moving into higher consciousness, and as we move into higher consciousness, that's unconditional love. And as we move into unconditional love, we have to go through the gateway of ethics.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. The way I see ethics is for how I connect it is with the laws of the universe, but I guess it's also like in love consciousness or love intelligent consciousness, but I see it like because I think ethics, the higher ethics is understanding energy and understanding law and how like once you understand law, like ethics is just in law is that love consciousness because like the higher laws are just based on that oneness. It's all based on so it's like law and love consciousness is the same thing. Um yeah, so once you step into it, like I knew my heart always was tuned into the higher law. And that's how I kind of I can almost like feel how I was indigo-ish old time because I always had that knowing that I was gonna be in the new time. And a lot of my systems were more in the new time than the old time. I only had a few, which is inherited past life, probably because of my journey. And I don't know, maybe like and then the programming that was like, oh, old time energy, let's fast. But yeah, but I think like I always had that ethic inside of me. But then with when we have the old time energy, it's really easy because you have the collective consciousness and you have the programmings that are like fasting on like our wounds, our inner child wounds and all this stuff. And then we learn bad patterns that deviate from those ethics, but we know it. And I always had a strong knowing of what's ethical and what's not. And when I did something wrong, it's like my consciousness will always come to me like, that's not right. And I would always have to fix it. And it was because if not, it bugged me. So when I started becoming more magical and I started sensing energy, it was like, oh, now you sense energy. Now you have the power to be ethical energetically. So if I did it wrong, ooh, so it was like it was like, whoa, I'm being slapped right now but it was like learning that I had that power or that we all have that power. I just had the awareness. And because I had that awareness, the power just became bigger and the karmic backlash would come bigger. So that's been a journey for me that I don't even put in language. This is the first time probably sharing it in like language or something, but it's like not in language, but like sharing it. But
Yeah.
I that's how I sense like the whole ethics. It got to me, it was taught to me like that, but it was always here. And when
It's
I
very powerful.
yeah, and when I learned aura transformation, when I did aura transformation, like when I had it, I was obsessed with code of ethics. I was obsessed with it. And I did a bunch of videos like we all have a code of ethics. And it was like the code of ethics comes from our heart and our values. And I could see it. I was like, we all have it. And that's how you want to follow your truth. You just follow your code of ethics. We always have it because I could see it since I was a little kid. But obviously, I'm more transformed. So everything that I sensed since I was a kid is like so vivid right now that I'm like, oh, I've always had this seed of where I'm going and where I'm headed. And I'm here because I was following that seed because whatever was happening into my life, like you said, like this awakening needed I needed ethics, I needed this, I needed that, I needed healing. I needed to do healing work. And it just led me here, and now I'm here doing this badass thing that I love, and then I'm so happy about it. So that for me is code of ethics and like that love intelligence.
Well, and it went from universal law to code of ethics to your incredible expression of what
Yeah,
energetic ethics is.
yeah,
It's very powerful. And I love how you say, like, most of my systems were in the new time energy, but I was still feeling the old time energy. And I think a lot of people would relate with that. You know
yeah,
what I mean? Because I think we're like coming full circle and how like why that devotion, you know, why we're called forth to cultivate that devotion
yeah.
is because we feel the duality
Mm-hmm.
of new
Mm-hmm.
time energy and old time energy.
Yeah. And I've met people in the old time energy that are their systems are like trying to become new time energy system. And without the language new time and old time, they're starting, well, yeah, they're starting to like they want to walk that way. Like they want to do their own stuff. They want to be more authentic. They want to be more honest. They want to be more unique, walk a different path. They want to do the healing even though they're not healers, they're devoted in shedding the things. They're devoted. And I feel that that's like an activation of little parts of them, which is what we call like the activation of the crystal energy or the indigo energy within people in their body. And it starts like becoming more activated, like their higher perspectives, their higher star seeds levels are getting activated, and they're like, I need to walk that way, but it's hard. And that's why I think our transformation is so beautiful because like you get to shed the things that are in the way. And then
Yeah.
the rest is just us working on ourselves on those.
Well, and people don't realize they need this.
Yeah. And then the sharing, that's why the sharing is so beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, for real. And because people don't realize that this tool is out there. But it's also it has to do with the way energy works. Like you have to be on that wavelength as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There
Yeah.
in order for awareness to be seen.
That brought up something that recently has been coming in my awareness that a lot of people have this beautiful awareness. They're just like they tell me, "Oh, I relate with all that you're doing, but I already have it. Everything is like that." But they haven't done the inner work. And I can say I was in that place maybe in like a few months because then I started needing the work and I started chasing the work and I started doing the work. But I can relate with that. And it's like this awareness that we know it all because it sounds amazing, the new time. It's that activation within us of walking that path, but it's not doing, which is pretty much what you just said. It's like not doing the work for it. Like there's like a little work for it. Not that we need work to have an aura transformation. If we feel drawn to aura transformation, that's beautiful and that's enough. But like really understanding that all this stuff takes work for integration. It takes work and it doesn't have to be like a heavy work, heavy lift for everybody. But I do think it does didn't take like integrating it does take work. I don't know. I can't right now say it, but like wounding and all those things, it's not just the talk, it's really like sitting with those emotions, nourishing those parts and really going deep. And I feel like we're so used to like going superficially in our emotions that a lot of people have never delved down deep in their waters. And it's a thing that I'm still exploring because maybe not everybody needs to go down deep like I have. So I don't know.
Yeah. I also so I'm a firm believer that we shouldn't go digging into our psyche. And um I believe very strongly that if we align ourselves with what our soul needs to experience to evolve, that everything we need to, have a lesson to or whatever it might be, will reveal itself.
Yeah.
our external world becomes our classroom.
Yeah.
And
That's beautiful.
and
Mm-hmm.
I this is so like this is how I was shown to interface with my external world so that I didn't see it as threatening, because I think a lot of us do.
Mm.
I mean, look at the state of our world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't see it as super, I don't deny the extremes of what is going on in this world, but I also choose not to focus on it, because the more we focus on it, the more it expands.
Yeah. Right.
So it's it's a choice that I make, and it might not be seen as moral to some people, and so on and so forth. However, this is what I believe is most effective for our collective.
Yeah.
I don't know why I went on that tangent.
Yeah.
I
Well,
don't know why I went on that tangent.
yeah. Well, I think definitely everybody starts following their, yeah, when people need to learn stuff, which is like what's happening on Earth right now, it's like if anybody needs to learn something, it's just happening. And the more I understand the new time energy, it's like the new time energy is everywhere, and it's created this. It's created people to become more aware of needing to meditate and yoga and practices and this and that to become more in tune with their own self and their own truth and their intuition and their bodies. So we're getting there. I mean, we're going there no matter what. And we're just like you said, like this little speck
Yeah,
that we're just like
but it's hard.
part of it.
It's hard to be in your body, and the reason it's hard to be in your body is because that's where trauma lives. And all of us have trauma.
Yeah.
All of us are connected to our lineage, our ancestors, it, our generations, our generational, um, whatever word I'm looking for right now.
Yeah.
There's generational, there's lineage, there's ancestral. Like we're,
Oh, they're all different?
they can be
Okay.
just different timelines.
Mm.
And so, and we all are attached to it because we have evolved through it.
Yeah. I
We
mean, it's
are
in like
we
in our
are the
DNA.
manifestation of the evolution of it.
Yeah, yeah. And I
So
think I think there's gift in that. I think that's what makes us like partially resilient. And I also see the beauty in the old time energy. Like I don't negate it. And and that's why the process has to be the way it has to be. That's why I don't get involved in politics.
yeah,
And I don't fight about it either. I don't get
yeah,
involved. It's just like because it's like you respect it. It's part of who we've been, and we're just walking. It's like a new cycle. It's just a new cycle, and the other cycle built us, and we are like body and bones of it. Like
and
you
we're
just
like, yeah. But the majority, not the majority, but I love how you said it's a new cycle. This built it. Now we're moving into this one. So we can't be disgusted by what built it.
exactly, yeah. That would be imbalanced. That would be completely imbalanced.
Yeah. And so it's in with aura transformation, I believe very strongly, like I believe it helps us feel safe in our field, which in turn helps us feel safe in our bodies. And when we can cultivate inner safety, we can take responsibility for our emotions and our feelings. And when we can do that, we're unstoppable,
Yeah.
truly, because we can build a different relationship with trauma.
Mm-hmm.
And then we can ground our experiences. We can have direct experiences. We can have new experiences.
Yeah.
We
But
can
would
be.
you say like the trauma is shifted? It's shifted into like lesson, a muscle,
So I
a
think that's
skill.
logic. I think that's us trying to analyze or
Hmm.
create logic around something that's very
So you
novel.
don't think trauma ever leaves in a way ourselves?
I don't think anything leaves.
Okay.
I think it's transmuted. I think it becomes
Transmuted. Okay. Okay.
I that's what I believe.
Yeah. That's how I would see it, transmuted into
And that's what
something
I
else.
believe
But
we
I
can.
was seeing like a gift because
Yeah.
you still would see it, you will use it, but now you use it with maturity. Like, oh, like when I've shifted really big things in my life, eventually I start seeing everybody either having it or not having it. And I'm like, how can I see this so clearly? So I've done a lot of childhood healing and I can see inner child all over the place all the time. Like
Because it mirrors
just
it.
running around and adults and everywhere and everything. And it's just and I can tap into it, I can feel it. It's like, oh, and it's so vivid because I've had that work on myself, like the low self-esteem, the little child that doesn't feel safe, the so many things that I just in the lack of safety, I think it's been a huge like
Yeah, and in order for this is something I say all the time, and it's something that I embody. In order for anything to become whole, it has to be seen separate first.
hmm,
Because how do we know it, like how do we know it's not whole if if we don't know if it's separate?